I think that, when it comes to business of breeding reptiles, diversity is important. I think that when you're too narrow in one project, you kind of put yourself into a hole. And I don't necessarily mean that you have to work with different species. I personally have always felt that was the best role, is to go with ball pythons and colubrids and boas and whatever the case may be. Because you got to remember, there's always going to be cycles, right? But even within, let's say you just want to do ball pythons, it's not a good idea. Like I talked about with clowns, I think clowns have a long life ahead. And I was just completely speculating if Justin was saying maybe there's too many clowns out there, because I don't know that that's how he feels. But what if there is too many clowns out there? And you put all your money into clown ball pythons.
All your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, it becomes a problem. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, because maybe 20 years from now, clown ball pythons will still be all the rage. But it's better to go, all right, I'm going to do some clowns. I'm going to do some tri-stripes. I'm going to do some, whatever, lavender albinos, whatever the case may be. If you want to stay with recessive stuff, genetic stripes, whatever the case may be. I think diversity is important. And I think that if you become too narrow, when something goes wrong and that market falls out, you don't have a safety net. And that goes back to what I was saying 6 years ago when we became more diversified with our income streams, is that we were no longer relying just on breeding and selling reptiles to pay the bills. And I think it's the same thing within reptiles, is if you are going to really focus on reptiles, keep yourself diversified so that you're not just producing one type of ball python or one type of corn snake or whatever the case is. Have more diversity, because one year corn snakes are going to be hot. One year, colubrids in the last few years have literally went insane. We are selling colubrids sometimes for 10 times what we sold them for 5 or 6 years ago, and literally selling them as quick as we put them on our website. And people were telling us to get out of colubrids 5 years ago, that they were dead, that it was stupid to even breed colubrids. And 5 years later, people are standing in line throwing money at people that have colubrids. So if I would have listened and went out of them and not been as diversified, we would have probably, definitely not done that. The other thing I think is, and this goes back to what I was talking about a little bit with chasing, right? Not chasing. And this is trying to take the emotion out of things, right? It's really easy to get emotional about buying into, even more so with animals, because you're emotionally like, it's an animal, One thing, if you're buying a piece of property, you can get emotional about, like, man, I really want to be on that riverfront. And that if I don't buy that, I'm not going to be able to be on the riverfront. But it's still just a piece of property. You know what I mean? There's going to be another riverfront property eventually. But when you get into, like, I want that leopard gecko, I want that ball python, it's really easy to get emotional. But try to take that emotion out as much as you can. That doesn't mean once you get it, you aren't emotional, because then you should be emotional about it. But getting into a project, a lot of times, don't chase things and become like, if I don't buy this today, I'm never going to get an opportunity again, because you don't know if maybe missing that opportunity might bring a better opportunity tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things I want to stress too. I learned over the many years of doing this that if you can take the emotion out of the decision, oftentimes you're way better off.
Damn, son.
Can we rail this in?